Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. General Museveni, who prefers calling himself Jaja, Sabarwani, raised two issues that intrigued me as the Attorney General of KFF. You know, as a Jaja, always he has to be reminded by Museveni. I have two judges in my family who always do things upside down. And for us as Museveni, we keep on reminding them, please, things should be done this way. Now, the two issues that intrigued me as the Attorney General of PFF are the attack on Uganda's legal system and the attack on the rule of law. Now, one thing, as head of state, he has an Attorney General and a crowd of lawyers whose duty is to advise him on the law. Each time they fail, we shall not hesitate to remind him about the law and his duty to uphold the law, obey it, and comply with the provisions of the Constitution. The same law that we are relying on to defend Dr. Besigye and Hajo Bedro Tare is the same law we shall quote when we are defending him in the dock, in the likely event that tables turn and we are called upon to represent Jaja in court. The law is a shield. It is a shield to protect all of us, irrespective of your political inclination. Now, the first reminder I would like to bring to the attention of Jaja is Article 98, Clause 3, and Schedule 4. That is what describes the presidential oath. When he was taking oath as head of state, he took an oath to protect the Constitution of Uganda and all the laws of this country. For as long as he still stands by that oath, he has no option but to comply with the Constitution and respect all the laws made under that Constitution. If I was asked, or if he asked me for legal advice on how to circumvent this, how to go outside this, he has two options. The first option is to resign. Once he resigns, no one will be bothered about him, reminding him to comply with the Constitution and obey the laws. Because then he will have become an ordinary citizen and the laws will handle him as such. The second option, which is treasonous, is to overthrow the Constitution. The moment he says, I'm overthrowing the Constitution, I'm abrogating the Constitution, no one will remind him about the Constitution. Save that the risky part of that, it will trigger into action Article 3 of our Constitution that calls upon all Ugandans to defend the Constitution. So for as long as he still claims to stand by the oath he took, for as long as he still wants to be president, he has no option but to follow the Constitution. I had a friend, the late Christopher Chiombo, son of senior counsel, the late Pazora. He would always say, go back to the Constitution. At this point, I dare say that please, Jaja, General Museveni, go back to the Constitution and follow it. Now, the Constitution we are reminding the president as the instrument he used to take oath, has Article 2, which declares the sovereignty of the Constitution, that Constitution is supreme. Article 3 demands all Ugandans, including General Museveni, to fight and defend that Constitution at all costs. The laws he's complaining about, I would like to remind him of Article 91 of our Constitution, in particular Clause 3. There is no single law in this country that becomes law without the signature of the president. He assents to all the laws in this country. He can't be the very person to say that the laws are bad, and yet is the one who has signed them, who has assented to them. Now, having said that, we now go to Article 28 of our Constitution. Article 28 of our Constitution is the one that guarantees fair hearing. Any person being tried is entitled to a right of a fair hearing. And that the concept of fair hearing has several tenets. One of the tenets is the demand for presumption of innocence. Judge said, Besigye and Haji Mutale should hurriedly come and defend their innocence. That is an unconstitutional statement. In all criminal matters, an accused person never assumes the burden of proving his innocence. The Constitution has already declared him or her innocent under Article 28, Clause 3, Paragraph A. The burden is on those who are accusing him of committing an offense, who must prove his guilt. It's not the other way around. Please, the lawyers in the government departments, in particular the Attorney General, give proper legal advice to the head of state. Don't subject that office of the president to ridicule. The moment you don't discharge your duty of giving proper legal advice, a head of state will end up making statements that are illegal, that are unconstitutional, and shameful, and you bring the whole country under disrepute. The same Article 28 demands that an accused person must be informed, properly informed of the allegations brought against him. The entire evidence the state has against the accused must be put on table for the accused to understand. We are dealing with a case in which the state is relying on audio evidence, video evidence. Now, that requires the accused persons to watch those videos, listen to the audios, and discuss the contents of the same with their lawyers. That can only be done if the gadgets required to do that are made accessible to the accused persons. Court, the Honorable Land Justice Baguma Emmanuel, gave us permission to access Luzira prisons and review the entire evidence with the accused persons. Unfortunately, Uganda prisons did not allow us enter into the prison premises with not even a pen, not even with a phone, for us to access the accused persons and review their evidence. Now at that point, how dare you say that the accused persons are aware of the offenses and they are aware of the evidence, therefore they should not delay the trial. Article 128, Clause 3 of the Constitution of Uganda demands that all agencies of the state, by agencies I include UPDF, I include Uganda prisons, all agencies are supposed to accord the courts such assistance as may be required to ensure effectiveness in the delivery of justice by the courts. Now, where a court has made an order allowing lawyers to access their clients with such equipment to enable them to go through the evidence, and you block them from accessing the accused persons, will you really have help the courts? Where courts are demanding the accused persons to produce their lawyers in court, and they proceed with the hearing, and you abduct the lawyers, will you have helped the court? You will have breached Article 128, Clause 3. Therefore, Judge, if you are interested in a speedy, expeditious trial of Dr. Besigye, demand all the government agencies, all the departments to remove their hands off the justice of the case. They should not interfere with the way the case is proceeding by arresting lawyers, by denying accused persons access to evidence, by intimidating the lawyers, by intimidating the judges, by hiding identities of witnesses. By doing all that, they are putting roadblocks on the way to justice and a speedy trial of the case. The other demand under Article 28 is that the lawyers, the accused persons, are entitled to legal representation. Legal representation of their choice. In their decision, Haji Rutale and Dr. Besigye mobilized legal services from within Uganda and outside Uganda. What happened has been expounded upon by the Vice Chair of the FF. Our lead counsel, Senior Master Karua, was declared persona non grata, an unwanted person, and deported. At a time when we are campaigning for regional integration, at a time when we are encouraging mobility of labor throughout the region and beyond, surely the act we did of deporting Karua, how different is it from what is happening to our fellow Ugandans in South Africa? We demand that the persona non grata order should be rescinded. It should be rescinded so that Martha Karua and all the other lawyers across the borders can come and represent their clients. We demand that the entire legal team that's defending Dr. Besigye and Hajo Bedrutale should be allowed to execute their duties unencumbered. Otherwise, the president will lose sleep that the case is not proceeding. Judge, we don't want you to lose sleep because the right things are not being done. Now, you had the accused person the other day lamenting that his mouth is closed, is insulted. The hands are tied, the legs are tied, and you are still demanding he should come and defend himself. Your Excellency, it's not a good idea to ride the bicycle while holding a visa. Release the clutch if you want the motorcycle to move. For justice to move, all the links within the chain of justice must freely move. And it is within the principles of our legal system that all benefits of doubts must go to that person. If the prosecutors are failing here and there, it is not for the president to descend into the arena of court to fill in the gaps. The same Constitution, Article 28, Clause 3, Paragraph G, demands that accused persons must be afforded the facilities and opportunity to cross-examine all the witnesses without limit. Dr. Besigye, Ajobed Lutale have already indicated that they want to cross-examine General David Muhoozi, CDF, in the matters that are pending before court. If the president wants the case to move very fast, should accompany the son to court, they invite Besigye, bring your lawyers, and a combat, and they cross-examine the witness. Because that's the command of the Constitution. I would also like to bring the attention of Judge Article 208 of the Constitution of Uganda about UPDF. Clause 2 of that article is so pivotal. It says, the UPDF shall be non-partisan, national in character, professional, disciplined, productive, and this is very important, and subordinate to civilian authority. UPDF is supposed to be subordinate to us. It is not us who are supposed to be subordinate to them. Bapaka Sibafe. UPDF is not supposed to be partisan. It's not supposed to be in bed with PLU, in bed with NRM, because it is supposed to be national in character and non-partisan. Therefore, given the fact that UPDF is supposed to be partisan, it should not be misused in pursuing personal scores. Now, the Baganda say, Ediokanga Netonya, the Flavian sister was a Kanyemi. There is no such thing who said, unless the wind blows, you can never see the vent ahead. Had it not been for this case of Messi, we wouldn't have seen UPDF abducting lawyers. Now, the question follows, is UPDF still non-partisan? Is it behaving professional? Is it subordinate to civilian authority? We pray, we demand that UPDF, as the late Christopher Chiombo said, should go back to the Constitution. Should go back to Article 208. Article 1261 of the Constitution of Uganda provides that judicial power is derived from the people and shall be exercised by courts in accordance with the values and norms and aspirations of the Ugandans. So these courts are not a private instrument of judging. These are state institutions. They are supposed to act independently. They are supposed to administer justice irrespective of social, economic status of those who appear before them. And Article 128 guarantees independence of the judiciary. Now, talking about independence, the independence goes to another level. Not even the Chief Justice can order a trial judge to act in a particular way when he's handling the matter. A judicial officer is supposed to act independently without any interference from any other quarters. Now, for judge to say that bail should not be granted is a contravention of Article 28, which guarantees the right to apply for bail. Secondly, we should also remind the President that as head of state, he signed international instruments, some of which were passed by the UN, others by the African Union, and other international bodies. Now, that one means that we are subject to the standards set by those international instruments. You will allow me to cite just one. The UN standards on minimum rules for non-custodial measures. In particular, principle number 1, it demands that it should be in only exceptional circumstances that we should allow pre-trial detention. In other words, people should be out as they are defending themselves. They should be free as the trials are going on. You should only enter prisons after you have been convicted and sentenced. His Excellency talked about Okukaraba compensating the grief departed. If you keep someone in detention before trial, and after several years that person is found innocent, or you withdraw the charges as they usually do, what amount of Kukaraba will you do for such an innocent soul who has been tortured, detained for so many years, and at the end of the day you say, we were joking, we are withdrawing the charges. Or at the end of the day, court finds that the man is innocent. What amount of Kukaraba? 1,000 cows? 10,000 cows? And who should pay? Now, the other issue I want to talk about is the issue of commenting about cases that are pending in court. It offends the doctrine of subjudice. You don't comment about a pending case in court in a way that has an effect of influencing the trial judge. I was shocked when I heard the head of state saying, why is this delaying the trial? Why should you give bail? Those are very unfortunate statements at a time when the bail application for Dr. Mr. Hadimutare has just been fixed for you. It is a very unfortunate statement at a time when we have just filed application number 248 of 2026, demanding for fair hearing, demanding that conditions that are prerequisite for fair hearing to happen be put in place. They are unfortunate statements because they put the trial judge in a very, very awkward position. At this time in Uganda, it is rare to find a judge who will really risk to make a judgment that contradicts the position of Judge Tugume. Very rare. We no longer have those judges of that kind of spine. And therefore it sends shockwaves down our spine each time we hear a head of state commenting about a case that is pending in court. As PFF Attorney General, I would like to give unsolicited advice to Judge Tugume that he should as much as possible refrain from commenting about cases that are pending in court. It doesn't augur well. And for an expeditious trial to happen in the case of Dr. Museveni and Hadi Kale, surely they should be granted bail. Once they are on bail, you will not hear lawyers saying they want to take laptops and projectors to Zira prisons. No, because then our clients will be accessible. Talking about indigenous justice system. The justice system we have in Uganda is indigenous because it is based on the laws that are homegrown. The constitution we have was made by ourselves. The laws that the president assented to were made here in our parliament. The international instruments we signed was with the approval of our own parliament. Now, in the event that the president made the justice system of the traditional African society as it were before colonialism, that justice system also guaranteed principles of fair hearing. They had things like a banker should never sit in a case involving the burning of the forest. You heard of a saying, "Itosala gwakawala, katona ulya gwakalezi." You don't judge a case brought by the daughter before hearing what the son is saying. Those are principles of fair hearing. The other day I had someone on Bukede teaching us about the origin of Weyogere, that the slaves were going to be taken to be executed, and the king met them, and he said, "Obusajja muguleke Weyogere." Let the men also defend themselves. That is a pre-colonial justice system that also guaranteed fair hearing. Even where someone was going to be sentenced to death, the taboos, the norms, the customs were respected. And elders, experts in those taboos and customs were summoned to come and sensitize the character of the king before someone could lose his life. So in a case where someone is charged with treason that is punishable as a death sentence, we shouldn't be playing around with the minimum standards that guarantee fair hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our Attorney General, for that eloquent submission in response to Mr. Museveni's utterances against our leader. I I hope if he has his Attorney General pick some notes, and then they'll do the needful. If there are no questions, because the explanations were very, very well, ticketed very well. Actually, they went well, they got where they're supposed to be going. Tegala okutwala okusaguno okubaaniriza